We're Real Guitars right here in San Francisco on Lafayette Street. I'm Chris Cobb. I'm the half owner of Real Guitars, and we took possession of the building in October of '85, and we opened the business in February 1st of '86.
This is San Francisco's oldest vintage guitar store. We've been here about 38 years. Our building is a small two-story building that I think was built in maybe the 20s or 30s. For the first maybe 20 years we were here, we were surrounded by vacant lots. Now we are completely hemmed in by new high-rises.
I've been working as a musician since I don't know, 75, something like that, playing bars and everything you can imagine. I kind of am a blues player more than anything else. When I got here in 73, I fell in love with the music. You know, San Francisco has a history as a music town.
This has always been sort of an important place for the San Francisco music community, but as this city has gotten so ridiculously expensive to live in and to be a musician in and be an artist in, we've sort of become like last man standing in a way. There are not many other small music stores left in San Francisco at all, which is a shame because this is a big city, it's a well-known music city, and it's sort of us and Guitar Center.
We run this place in a very casual way. Like, we're the anti-Guitar Center. Nobody bothers you. You can come and look at everything you want. You know, family can come hang out if they want. You know, your dog. I bring my dog here sometimes. It's just, you know, relaxing around here, hopefully.
It's just a really old school kind of environment here. It's a very 20th century store here. It's very analog. This is odds and ends, but stuff that real players want and stuff that's attainable for real players. It's not either like just sort of mass-produced new stuff or the crazy high-end, you know, 50s Fenders and Gibsons. It's sort of that sweet spot in the middle where we have the stuff that I think people don't tend to see anywhere other than online now. We do have a big local base of musicians that are sort of looking for affordable, funky, cool stuff. And that's sort of how I would describe a lot of the stuff in here. The way that we generally get our inventory is just through walk-ins mostly. It all kind of comes to us. Probably the first criteria is just, do we think it's cool? Like, this is a store run by guitar geeks, and everybody around here is just here for the love of the game. You know, it's that we love seeing what's going to come out of a case, seeing stuff we haven't seen before, or things we've only seen pictures of. If you've got old equipment, you know, if you've inherited some old stuff or something like that, we're kind of the place to come. Not just San Francisco or the Bay Area, but we're probably kind of the place for that in Northern California generally. You know, it took me a while to realize what a unique place this was because I grew up here, so it all seemed normal to me. It really was only until I started working here for a while. I started working here when I was about maybe 17 or 18, and I would meet so many players from around the country, around the world, that would tell me that there is no other place like this in the States. So we do sell a lot of local made instruments. We've got some guitars that are made by a builder named Andrew Goberman, who's a local builder. We're the only place that sells his stuff. He kind of has his own aesthetic, and he'll put tele necks on K or Harmony style bodies and things like that, and then throw in some de-Armand pickups and all sorts of weird combinations. We also sell BNS pedals, which stand for Body and Soul, which are made by a gentleman named Jan Lee, who is, I believe he is a librarian by trade, but he builds pedals in his off time, and he just creates amazing sounding 60s style fuzz pedals that seems like are just getting more and more word of mouth. We have definitely hosted and sold to a lot of big Bay Area names. Joe Satriani is a good friend of the store. He's been coming in probably since they opened in the 80s. The guys from the Dead. Jerry was in here before he passed.
Bob Weir came in here, you know. All the deadheads here were practically on the floor, you know. And one day he's walking out and he looks at me, he says, "Hey, do you have any old Strats or Tellys?" I had a 62 and a 56 Strat in the office along with a 56 Telly. Bob bought them all. And at one point he said to me, "Hey, you know why I'm buying these guitars?" And I'm thinking, what kind of a question is that? But I say, because you like old Fenders and you want to play them? He goes, yeah, well that. But he goes, I have to look like I'm a cool guy and have some cool old guitars for when the kid comes over. And I'm like, the kid? He goes, yeah, that Mayer kid, you know. The John.
Between my dad and his partner, Ben, they just have an insanely encyclopedic knowledge of old guitars, old amps, old gear. People really come for their expertise. They've been here almost 40 years and they've built a reputation.
Just recently, like in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, we took over the repair business back there. And that's kind of been my baby for the last 4 or 5 years.
My name's Julian, and I'm one of the repair techs here. We do mostly setups, everything from Floyd Roses to your standard Fenders and Gibsons.
Ben and Chris are like encyclopedias. Like that you talk about, like, you know, when they switched humbuckers and a Gibson or whatever, like they can tell you the year, they can tell you the color of the bobbins, like just stuff like that, like being able to call on them and help me and Julian make the right decision when we're doing a repair on an older guitar.
I mean, I fall in love with guitars that come in here all the time. It's maybe not the greatest thing in terms of like controlling my guitar habit.
There's a 62 SG, it's still called Les Paul on the little truss rod cover. That thing is just so cool, man. The PAFs on that are wild. And yeah, you touch it and you're like touching this. It's almost like you're touching the Holy Grail, you know what I mean? It's, yeah, that one was cool.
Right now, oddly enough, it's like a new guitar, but there's a baritone D'Angelica that's hanging up on the wall. Yeah. It just sounds magical, you know?
It is really a remarkable thing that a small business like this still exists in San Francisco, because it is a really, really difficult place for a small business to open. It's notoriously difficult. People appreciate this place. I think people come in and they get it, that like a community should have a place like this.
It's one of the last small shops in San Francisco. It brings the SF music community together, and it just, you feel it, you know, it's a special thing to be a part of.
We love D'Addario. Those have been the strings we've sold exclusively the whole 38 years we've been here. I tend to look for durability in a guitar string. I look for resonance, comfortability.
They're just really solid and they sound great. Everyone's happy with them. I've never had any customer be like, I don't want the D'Addarios, I'll provide my own strings. Everybody's good with them.
I've just been using those since I was a kid. You know, the strings just last the longest. They have like a great sound. They're strings that I confide in for all of my repairs, even privately.
And then also just from the manufacturer, just a wide assortment of things. We love the strings themselves, and we've always done great business and felt really well treated by the company, and it feels like there's clearly a love for the guitars on their side too.